Chapter 9 Urban Livelihoods. 1. What do you see in this illustration? 2. You have already read about the work that people do in rural areas. Now compare the work that people in this illustration are doing with the work that people do in rural areas. 3. Some parts of the city are different from others. What differences do you notice in this illustration? Comment this. There are more than 5,000 towns and 27 big cities in India. Big cities like Chennai, Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata, etc. have more than a million people living and working here. They say that the city never sleeps. Let's visit one and find out about the work people do in the city. Are they employed by someone or are they self-employed? How do they organize themselves? Or do they have similar employment and earning opportunities? Comment this. Working on the street. This is the city where my cousin lives. I have been here only a few times. It is very big. Once, when I came here, my cousin took me around. We left the house early in the morning. As we turned the corner onto the main street, we saw that it was already buzzing with activity. The vegetable vendor was busy arranging tomatoes, carrot and cucumbers in baskets at her stall so that people could see what she had to sell. Next to her stall was a lovely, colorful one that sold all kinds of flowers. We bought a red rose and a yellow rose. On the pavement opposite, we saw a person selling newspapers with a small crowd of people around him. Everyone wanted to read the news. Buses whizzed past and there were auto rickshaws filled with school children. Nearby under a tree, a cobbler sat talking his tools and materials out of a small tin box. Next to him, the roadside barber and began his work. He already had a customer who wanted an early morning shave. A little way down the road, a woman was pushing along a cart with all kinds of plastic bottles, boxes, hairpins, clips, etc. In it while another person on a cycle trolley was carrying vegetables to sell to people in their houses. We came to a place where rickshaws were standing in a row waiting for customers. We decided to take one to the market, which was about 2 kilometers down the road. Bachu Majhi, a cycle rickshaw puller. I come from a village in Bihar where I worked as a mason. My wife and 3 children live in the village. We don't own land. In the village, I did not get masonry work regularly. The income that I earned was not enough for our family. After I reached this city, I bought an old cycle rickshaw and paid for it in installments. This was many years ago. I come to the bus stop every morning and take the customers wherever they want to go. I work till 8:30 in the evening. I take rides of up to 6 kilometers in the surrounding areas. Each customer gives me raise 10 to 30 per trip depending on the distance. When I am ill, I cannot do this work, so on those days I don't earn anything. I stay with my friends in a rented room. They work in a nearby factory. I earn between raise 200 to 300 every day, out of which I spend raise 100 to 150 on food and rent. The rest I save for my family. I visit my village 2 or 3 times a year to see my family. Though my family survives on the money I send, my wife also earns from agricultural work that she gets once in a while. 1. Why did Bachchu Majhi come to the city? 2. Why cannot Bachchu Majhi live with his family? 3. Talk to a vegetable vendor or hawker and find out how do they organize their work, their way of preparing, purchasing, selling, etc. 4. Bachchu Majhi has to think twice before taking a day off from work. Why? Comment this. Like Bachchumaji, a large number of people in the city work on the street. In a survey of Ahmedabad city, it was found that 12% of all the workers in the city were people working on the street. They sometimes sell things or repair them or provide a service. They work on their own. They are not employed by anyone and therefore have to organize their own work. They have to plan how much to purchase as well as where and how to set up their shops. Their shops are usually temporary structures, sometimes just some boards or papers spread over discarded boxes or maybe a canvas sheet hung up on a few poles. They may also use their own cards or simply a plastic sheet spread on the pavement. They can be asked to dismantle their shops at any time by the police. They have no security. There are certain parts of the city where these hawkers are not allowed to enter. Vendors sell things that are often prepared at home by their families who purchase, clean, sort and make them ready to sell. For example, those who sell foods or snacks on the street prepare most of these at home. Often workers who make a living in the city are forced to set up their homes on the street as well. Below is a space where several workers leave their belongings during the day and cook their meals at night. There are almost 1 crore street vendors in the country working in urban areas. Street vending was still recently looked upon only as an obstruction to traffic and to people walking. However, with the effort of many organizations, it is now recognized as a general benefit and as a right of people to earn their livelihood. The government is thinking about modifying the law that bans street vendors so that they have a place to work and that there is also a free flow of traffic and people. Hawking zones have been suggested for towns and cities. It has also been suggested that mobile vendors should be allowed to move around freely. Hawkers need to be part of committees that are set up to take these and other decisions relating to them. In the market, when we reached the market, the shops were just beginning to open, but the place was already crowded because of the festival season. There were rows and rows of shops selling sweets, toys, clothes, footwear, utensils, electronic goods, etc. There was a dentist clinic also at one end. My cousin had an appointment with the dentist. We went there fast so that we would not miss our turn. We had to wait for a while in a room before she was called inside. The dentist examined her and asked her to come back the following day to get a cavity in her tooth filled. My cousin was scared because she thought the process would be painful and was upset that she had allowed her teeth to go bad. From the dental clinic, she took me to a new garment showroom because I wanted to buy some ready-made clothes. The showrooms had 3 floors. Each floor had different types of clothes. We went to the third floor where clothes for girls were kept. Harpreet and Bandana, business persons. My father and uncle worked in a small shop during festival times, and on Sundays my mother and I helped them in the shop. I started working there only after I completed my college. Harpreet, we opened this showroom some years ago. I am a dress designer. Our business has changed. These days, people prefer to buy ready-made clothes rather than have them stitched. The trend these days is for ready-made garments. You also need an attractive display for them. Bandana. For our showroom, we buy things from different places. We buy most of the materials from Mumbai, Ahmedabad, Ludhiana, and Tripur. Some materials also come from Noida and Gurgaon towns near Delhi. We get some dress items from foreign countries too. There are several things we need to do to run this showroom properly. We advertise in various newspapers, cinema theaters, television, and radio channels. Currently, this building is rented, but soon we plan to buy it. Ever since this market has become the main market for people living in the surrounding apartments, our business has grown. We have been able to buy a car and book a flat in an apartment complex nearby. Why did Harpreet and Bandana start a showroom? What do they have to do to run the showroom? Talk to a shop owner in a market and find out how he plans his work. Have there been any changes in his business in the past 20 years? What are the differences between those who sell on the street and those in the market? Comment this. Like Harpreet and Bandana, there are many people who own shops in various markets of the city. These shops may be small or large and they sell different things. Most business persons manage their own shops or businesses. They are not employed by anyone, but they do employ a number of other workers as supervisors and helpers. These are permanent shops that are given a licensed to do business by the municipal corporation. The municipal corporation also decides on which day of the week the market has to remain closed. For example, the shops in the above market are closed on Wednesdays. This market also has small offices and shops that provide services such as banks, courier services, and others. In the factory workshop area, I wanted to have jari work done on one of my dresses which I needed for a special occasion. My cousin said that she knew Nirmala who works in a garment factory. Nirmala's neighbors do jari work and embroidery, so we caught a bus and headed towards the factory area. The bus was really crowded. At every stop, more and more people go on, and hardly anyone seemed to get off. People were pushing others to make more space for themselves. My cousin guided me to a corner so that we would not get squashed. I wondered how people travel like this every day. As the bus entered the factory area, people started getting off. We also got off soon as at a crossing. What a relief that was! There were a large number of people sitting on railings or in groups at the crossing. They seemed to be waiting for someone. Some groups had people on scooters standing by and talking with them. My cousin explained that this place was called Labor Chowk. These were daily wage laborers who work as helpers to mansions. They dig at construction site, lift loads or unload. In labor chowk, daily wages workers wait with their tools for people to come and take them for work. trucks in the market, dig pipelines and telephone cables and also build roads. There are thousands of such casual workers in the city. We entered the factory area to find it full of small workshops. There seemed to be endless rows of them. In one section, we saw people working in a small room on sewing machines where cloth was being stitched. One person operated one sewing machine. Clothes that had been stitched were stacked on one side of the room. We located Nirmala in the stitching unit. She was happy to meet my cousin and promised to get jari work done on my dress. Nirmala works as a tailor in an export garments unit. The factory where she works makes summer clothes for people in foreign countries like USA, UK, Germany and the Netherlands. For workers like Nirmala have to work very long hours in the month from December to April. A normal working day begins at 9 a.m. and finishes only by 10 p.m. Sometimes even later she works for 6 days a week. At times when the work needs to be done urgently, she works on Sundays too. Nirmala is paid rest 280 a day for 8 hours and rest 100 extra for working late. By June the work is over and the factory reduces its staff. Nirmala will also be asked to leave for about 3 or 4 months in the year. There is no work for her. Most workers like Nirmala are employed on what is known as casual basis, that is they are required to come us and when the employers needs them. They are employed when the employer gets large order or during certain sessions. At other times of the year they have to find some other work. Jobs like Nirmala's are not permanent. If workers complain about their pay or working conditions, they are asked to leave. There is no job security or protection if there is ill treatment. They are also expected to work very long hours. For example, in the cloth mills units, the workers work on day and night shifts, with each shift lasting 12 hours. One worker works on one machine for 12 hours and then is replaced by another on the same machines for the next 12 hours. Why do you think small workshops and factories employ casual workers? To describe the working conditions of people like Nirmala, keeping in mind the following: working hours, conditions in the workplace, earning, and the days of work available. 3. Would you say that domestic workers like housemaids are also casual workers? Why? Describe the workday of one such woman detailing the work she does in other people's houses. Working in a call center is a new form of employment in the big cities. A call center is a centralized office that deals with problems and questions that customers have regarding goods purchased and services like banking, ticket booking, etc. Call centers are generally set up as large rooms with workstations that include a computer, a telephone set, and supervisor station. A computer, telephone set and supervisor station. India has become a major center not only for Indian companies but also foreign companies. They set up call centers here as they can get people who can speak English and will work for lower wages. In the office area, my aunt Shudha works as a marketing manager. She had asked us to reach her office before 5:30 p.m. We thought we had get late, so we took an auto rickshaw that managed to get us there just in time. Her office was in an area surrounded by tall buildings. There were hundreds of people coming out. Some headed for the car park, while others went towards the row of bushes, the row of buses. My aunt is a marketing manager in a company which manufactures biscuits. The factory where the biscuits are made in outside in the city. She supervises the work of 50 salespersons who travel to different parts of the city. They get orders from shopkeepers and collect payments from them. She had divided the city into 6 regions, and once a week she meets the salesperson of each region. She checks their progress report and discusses problems they face. She has to plan the sales in the entire city and often has to work late and travel to different places. She gets a regular salary every month and is a permanent worker with the company. She can expect worker with the company. She can expect her job to continue for a long period of time. Being a permanent worker, she also gets other benefits such as the following: saving for old age. A part of her salary is kept in a fund with the government. She will earn interest on this saving. When she retires from this job, she will get this money and she can then live on that. Holidays. She gets off a Sunday and national holidays. There are many workers in the city who works in offices, factories and government departments where they are employed as regular and permanent workers. They attend the same office or factory regularly. Their work is clearly identified. They get a regular salary. Unlike casual workers, they will not be asked to leave if the factory does not have much work. At the end of the day, we got into my aunt's car, exhausted, but it had been so much fun, and I thought how interesting that so many people do so many different things in the city. They have probably never met each other, but it is their work that ties them together and helps to make up city life. Questions? Name of the shop or office, nature of the service provided. Do this and comment this.